Hi, I'm Doug Van Eaton. This cleverly named video, How to Pass the Level 1 CFA Exam, might come in handy, especially if you've already registered for the exam or if you're wondering a little bit about the Level 1 CFA exam, trying to decide if you want to sign up for the exam or not. Well, I've been teaching with Schweser and writing books and questions and everything else for about 18 years now, and had some experience for some years before that in CFA education. So I don't know if all my ideas are right, but they're certainly founded in experience and a result of helping some tens of thousands of candidates pass their CFA exams. So here I've put up an outline of what we're going to talk about here. I'm going to start out, I'm going to tell you about the CFA curriculum, how it's structured, a little bit about the content, so you know what you're up against. We'll look at the curriculum topics and how those topics are weighted on the Level 1 exam. And just a bit about the exam structure, how long, how many questions, question formats, and all of that. And then how to pass the exam with Schweser, how the various Schweser study materials fit together into a cohesive and comprehensive package to get you from where you are right now to opening up the email that says, you passed your CFA exam. So it may be a long and somewhat bumpy road. There's things that happen along the way, but you need a plan, you need a track to run on. So that's what we're going to provide here. So let's talk about the curriculum first off. We've got 10 topic areas, and I'll tell you what those topic areas are here just shortly. And each topic area comprises multiple readings or modules. The CFA curriculum is transitioning from readings, which were like book chapters, into modules, which are like book chapters cut up into pieces, but essentially the same thing. They have a title and they have some learning outcome statements. So these learning outcome statements are LOS. I'll give you an example in just a second. Excuse me. But these are going to tell you what you need to learn from the curriculum material. Now, when you register for the exam, you get these CFA curriculum books. Okay? And supposedly they got all you need to know in there. They cover the learning outcome statements as well as some other material, it seems. But many people use those in conjunction with or use the SchweserNotes in place of those and maybe refer to them. I'll mention some specific situations in which you might want to do that. So these learning outcome statements, there's over 500 of them for the Level 1 exam. And the idea of these learning outcomes is to focus you on the relevant material for the exam. So no matter what the reading says, what's in there, you can kind of narrow it down. Now, it's not exact. Okay. As we get to an example of some learning outcome statements, we'll see some that are kind of exact and some maybe not so much. But they do indicate the knowledge you should get from each reading. And so that's your focus as you go through. You should be able to look back at those learning outcomes and go, oh yeah, I can do that. Oh yeah, I know that. Because they guarantee each exam question will be based on one or more of the LOSs. So it will require the knowledge and the skills in one or more learning outcomes. So they have command words in these learning outcomes. And I think that's a comprehensive list. I may have left one or two out, but I don't think so. And you can see, so it says candidates should be able to analyze or calculate, compare and contrast, define, demonstrate, describe, determine, discuss, estimate, evaluate, explain, formulate, identify, interpret, justify, or recommend. Well, seems like a bit of overlap there. And some of these words you look at them and say, well, what exactly do they mean by that? Well, if you go and you just Google up CFA Level 1 command words, they've got some descriptions there and some things. We typically look at it and go, well, watch out for, if I can find my pen tool here, there we go. Watch out for calculate. Okay. But calculate may turn up in some other ones. Okay, I mean, you may need to demonstrate something that involves a calculation. Okay. You may need to calculate something to justify your choice among 3 money market securities you could invest in. Okay. Estimate, well, sometimes our estimates are certainly based on calculations. So don't just take calculations and say, okay, those are the ones with the numbers, those are the ones with the formulas. A lot of times we teach formulas, we teach how to do calculations so you understand what's going on. Once you understand it and you can understand the formula and what's being calculated and why it's calculated that way, then if there's questions that aren't necessarily numerical, but, oh, what happens to duration if this changes? Well, you'd be able to answer that. So those are your command words. So to an example, our first topic area, quantitative methods. And we've got 4 readings here in quantitative methods currently. Did I say 4? 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6. Yeah, we've got 7 readings here in quantitative methods. The first one being the time value of money. And I've put the number of learning outcomes for each of those just to give you an idea. Okay. So there's your topic area. Now, oops. I can get this right. Now let's look at reading 3, okay, the third one on our list, probability concepts. And I just wanted to share it with you, examples of some learning outcome statements. First one, and I put the command words in bold. Define a random variable, an outcome, and an event. Well, when they say define something, typically those are terms that we're just supposed to learn how to use. Okay. So define is one thing, and later on we'll start using those words, and you're expected to understand exactly what they mean, precisely what they mean. LOSB here for this reading says identify the 2 defining properties of probability, including mutually exclusive and exhaustive events, and compare and contrast empirical, subjective, and a priori probabilities. So we've got a good little variety of command words here. And our third one here, this isn't all the learning outcomes for probability concepts. I just put the first 3 here as an example. Describe the probability of an event in terms of odds for and odds against the event. Always a favorite learning outcome of mine. I don't remember ever telling a client, yeah, I think you should buy this stock. It's an 8 to 5 shot, but I guess it could come in handy. It hasn't in my decades in the investment business, but hey, who knows? Exam topics and weights. So we looked at the first topic area, quantitative methods. The second one's economics. Then financial statements, all our accounting stuff. Then corporate issuers, or if you took in college corporate finance, we often put it under that umbrella. They call it corporate issuers here. Then equity securities and equity investments, a little bit of equities valuation there. And over on the right-hand side, I've got the percentages, and I put the financial statements in red because that's the biggest one. That is the biggest weight for the level 1 exam is you should know how to read financial statements, income statements, balance sheet, cash flows, know the difference between IFRS and US GAAP accounting rules, all that sorts of things. So we devote a number of classes to that. And a number of, there's over 100 learning outcome statements just in financial statement analysis. Then we've got corporate issuers and equity. So you can see 8 to 12%, 10 to 12% for everything but financial statements of our first 5 topic areas here. And then we've got our next 5 topic areas. Fixed income, Then derivatives, alternative investments, and portfolio, all a little bit less than our 10 to 12, if that looks kind of like the average. So those three a little bit less. And another one on the high side is ethics. And that will be 15 to 20%. Now, as we'll see, there's 180 questions on a test, your level 1 exam. So for ethics, that means that's going to be 27 to 36 questions. Put that there to get your attention. Fixed income, 18 to 22 if we go back to financial statement analysis or financial statements and reporting, whatever they're calling it these days, the accounting stuff. Okay, 23 to 31 questions there. So, as you're studying, keep that in mind. You're preparing for this exam, and that's what's going to be on it. Now, the pass rates. Let's talk about the elephant in the room here. Okay, well, over many years, the percentage of candidates who pass their exams has averaged 43%. Now, when they talk about this passing percentage, that's the percent of level 1 candidates who actually showed up and took the exam, and that includes those that are there for the second or third time or whatever time. Everybody who sat for the exam doesn't count those people who signed up, studied for 3 months and said, there's no way I can do this, and just blew off the exam. We believe 70% has always been a passing score. They don't always tell us what the passing score was. They set a passing score each time according to a process that they have. But I think if you get 70% right on the exam, I think that's always been a passing score. So here's the pass rates. You can see we've been a little low lately. This shows from June 2008 to February 2022. And I believe this last one, I'll find out where my pen is. There's my pen. I think this last one here was 36%. Didn't do a very good job of that. 36%. And it just ticked up. I think just a couple days ago, we got the results for the May 2022 exam, and they've ticked up to 38%. So that's the most recent one. So I drew a line here at 40 just for reference. I don't know, 40 isn't nothing especially important about that. But it looks like if that's about the mean, we're getting back to it. So this was the pandemic scores. Whether the pandemic caused those scores or what the relationship was there, I'm not sure. There's much conjecture about it. But the point is it did dip down here to 25 or 23% or whatever, right in here. And then it's worked its way back up since then. But the important thing is for you to pass the exam. What others do doesn't really change things for you. So let's get on to that part of it. So the exam you're going to face on exam day, 2 sessions. You can take a break in the middle or not. I think it's 30 minutes. All the tests are computer-based. You go to the computer place and take it on a computer. And there's 2 sessions, 90 questions in each session, and 2 hours and 15 minutes each. So 2 hours and 15 minutes, take a break, 2 hours and 15 minutes. They're all multiple choice. They all have 3 answer choices. And as far as topics, and I don't know if this changes your life either, but just so you know, we start off session 1, ethical and professional standards, that's your ethics, economics, quantitative methods, and financial statement analysis. And then the second session is corporate issuers, portfolio management, equity investments, fixed income, derivatives, and alternative investments. Now, old exams are not available. I often get emails, hey, how do they test this on the exam? Is this ever tested on the exam? Well, back a long time ago, we could answer those questions, but they haven't released a level 1 exam publicly since I believe it was 1997. So what's that, 25 years ago. So we haven't seen an exam in a long time. We'll just rely on the learning outcome statements and the feedback we've gotten from candidates over the years on how we could best help them pass the exam. So now let's go through some steps. Passing the exam, I'm going to talk about the study program with Schweser and how the various Schweser materials, at least the key materials, we've got some other things, flashcards and audio tapes and things that people use, but that's kind of supplemental to the core program. And so this all starts out with the SchweserNotes. So the SchweserNotes are our distillation of the knowledge and skills required by the learning outcome statements. And they go learning outcome statement by learning outcome statement. So focus on those, just as when you were in college taking Psychology 101, learn the meaning of the terms in bold. Now, that may not get you as far on the CFA exam as it did in Psychology 101, as I remember you could get an A learning the words in bold in 101. But anyway, that's a start here. You're going to have to learn more than that. And as you go through the SchweserNotes, attempt and learn from the quiz questions we have in there, kind of end of module or end of reading questions. You need to really work those. Working questions, exercising your brain, and active learning is very important. Get questions sometimes, oh, I've spent 285 hours. Do you think I'm ready for the exam? Well, I'm sorry, but I have no idea if you're ready for the exam. Some people will spend 150 hours, and if they have a strong background in accounting or economics or mathematics, might not be that hard for them. If you were a history major, we can still get you through, but it's going to take a little more work than if you were a business major, an accounting major, an econ major, because you have some of that stuff down already. And we've got some video instructions that just follows the SchweserNotes. It's just to reinforce it. It's another way to look at it. And you may use those, you may not. You may go through the readings and go, I got this. I'm not worried about it. Or you may go through and go, some of this is a little fuzzy. I think I'll watch the videos. And we've got some great instructors on those videos to take you through the various topic areas. So use those as you need to. Use them as you find them valuable. If you don't use them now, you might use them for review. They also go learning outcome statement by learning outcome statement. There's also questions at the end of each of the modules or readings, slash readings, in the CFA curriculum books. CFA curriculum books, you get those either physical, I think you can still get physical books, or online when you register for your exam. And so, step 1, read the SchweserNotes, learn the material for the LOSs, go through the examples, understand the examples. Active learning, it's work. It'll wear you out. Take quizzes from the SchweserPro QBank. Okay, we've got thousands of questions. They're all sorted out by learning outcomes and by readings or modules or whatever. So you can construct your own quizzes there. So learn how to customize a quiz. It's fairly easy. The interface is easy, but learn how to make a quiz for certain LOSs or certain readings, certain modules, because that's going to be part of your study for sure. Okay. After you study the SchweserNotes, take a question. I mean, exam questions average 90 seconds apiece, minute and a half, and our QBank questions probably average that or a little less, but some are longer. Some are shorter, some are real quick, some you have to think about a bit. But anyway, 20-question quiz, that should be a half hour. Okay, so get used to doing that. Initially, we're going to use those right after the SchweserNotes study. Okay. After you get to the end of a a reading. If it's a really small module, maybe not. But if it's a reading, you get to the end of 10 or 12 learning outcomes, time to take a quiz. And take additional QBank quizzes over the course of study. I'll underline this if I can find my pen. Here it is. Now, if you're going to study for this exam over 6 months, you learn some quantitative methods. You learn how to figure out the odds from the probabilities, our learning outcome from probability concepts. Well, maybe 4 months later, it's a little fuzzy. Certainly it could be, right? Over time, you don't use stuff. It just kind of fades away. And so that's why I've got this bullet in there. Take additional QBank quizzes over the course of study to improve your knowledge and retain that knowledge. Because you've got to know all of these topic areas, the 10 topic areas, 500 LOSs. That's what you're supposed to know on exam day. So just intersperse some QBank quizzes in there, right? You do quant, you finish up econ, you're about ready to go into financial statement analysis. Do a quant quiz or two. Get that back in the front of your mind. Reinforce those. Miss some questions and learn some stuff you didn't get the first time around. Candidates who do more practice questions are more likely to pass their exams. We don't know a lot for sure in education science. We know some things over the years from the education science folks. But one thing we know for sure, if you don't do practice questions, because that's what you have to do on exam day, answer 3-part multiple choice questions rapidly and accurately. For a little over 2 hours, quick break, then for another 2 hours. So should you get used to doing that? Should you do a lot of questions? Yes, you really should if you want to pass a level 1 exam. The third point here. Take topic assessment exams after completing each topic area and checkpoint exams covering multiple topic areas. So these are built into your study when you get your activity feed or whatever they call it, your calendar that lays out kind of in a linear fashion all these things. When you get to the end of a topic area, say take a topic assessment exam. So we're going through quant. We get to that last quant reading, introduction to linear regression. After you finish that one, take the topic assessment exam. And at 3 points during your study, basically, well, broken up into thirds. I don't know if they're exactly thirds, but 3 parts. We have these checkpoint exams. Now we're moving to more like an actual exam, a mock exam. So each of these checkpoint exams is a third of an exam focused on 3 different groups of topic areas. And so it's important that you take these. You need to get almost continuous feedback on how your studying is going. You don't want to get through economics and then go back and say, oh, I thought I studied real well. I thought I learned that quant stuff real well, and I went to take questions and I only got a 40. Well, you didn't get it real well. That's why this feedback is important. And also, from every question you miss, you can go over the answer explanation and learn something that you didn't know. You've got to look at that and go, what did I need to know that I didn't know to get this question correct? So you can use the results of these to refine your study focus and intensity as necessary. If your study focus and your intensity of study isn't getting you up to where you're scoring, say, over 70% on these quizzes and exams, you're not, you need to make some adjustments. That would be a nice way to say it. Learn from the answer explanations for questions you miss, or if you just correctly guessed them and said, okay, B, hey, I got it right, you still got to take a look at those too. Okay, moving right along, view on-demand classes. Now, these on-demand classes, we've differentiated to some extent, and we keep differentiating them from the videos and the SchweserNotes. Rather than focusing on every LOS and going into all that detail, okay, we take a little bit broader view, okay, module by module or reading by reading. Okay. And we revisit topic areas and try to focus on the challenging areas where we know candidates struggle. We get questions. Just from the feedback we get, we know what areas could probably use some more attention. We also introduce into those some practice questions. And so you're going to start doing some practice questions there, and we'll walk you through them as we reinforce this. So we want to bring you back to these topics. Now you see what I've got at the bottom of this slide here. Ideally, some weeks after completing initial study of each topic area in the SchweserNotes. Now I think in your calendar view of your activities and the way it's laid out, they may have these classes right after you finish a topic area. And I think you get better use out of them by waiting a few weeks, okay? Maybe go study econ. And then when you finish econ, do your econ quizzes and your topic quiz and all that. And then say, well, before I start this next section, I'm going to take a look at that on-demand class on quants. So we integrate things too. As we go through the first time in the SchweserNotes and the SchweserNotes video, we're like LOS by LOS. It's very compartmentalized. We really have to do it that way to keep it straight, make sure we cover everything you might need for the exam. But in the on-demand classes, we're going to assume you've done all that. So this is not a class where you show up knowing nothing and go, okay, this is going to fix me. No, it's not going to fix you, but it's going to help you retain the information. We'll try and integrate some of the things together across topics as we get further and further through the curriculum. So try and do those with a little lag, 2 or 3 weeks after you finish a topic area. Or in some topic areas, we've got 2 classes, like quant has 2 classes, econ has 2 classes. I think financial statement analysis, the accounting has 4 classes. So you could go back and take a look at a couple of classes, and then maybe a little later on, a couple of the other classes. Now, study ethics and standards in the SchweserNotes. Ethics, remember we said that was what, 15 to 20% of the exam. There's no math in it. There's no graphs. There's no really complex relationships. There's just a lot of examples to remember, some terminology. But everything in that 15 to 20% of the exam is contained in the Standards of Practice Handbook. So you should read that multiple times. The whole thing, including the recommended practices, required practices, and guidance on what's a violation and what isn't, and all their examples in there. It's short-term memory stuff. You should review it right before the exam, but you can get a lot of points there. And this Standard to Practice Handbook, the Code of Ethics and Standard to Practice Handbook, are in Volume 6 of those CFA curriculum books in its entirety, or you can download a PDF, I believe, from the CFAinstitute.org website. Now, we made it through the topics, the checkpoint exams. You made it through ethics. You've read all of that. You've finished your last on-demand class. And this you should finish 4 to 6 weeks before the exam, for your actual exam. And at that point, take Schweser mock exam number 1. Okay. Enter your answers online. Do it like you were taking it. We have it so you can take it on your computer, just like the computerized exam. Enter your answers online to get your score and get your performance by topic area. So now that you've gotten through your initial study, you take this exam and go, okay, how did I do? Where am I at right now? I got, 5, 6 weeks left. what's going to get me the most points in terms of activities and study over these final weeks. So use those results to guide your final review and learn from every question or question you guessed at, even if you got it right. And then, once you get that information, then it's time to attend the Schweser Exam Review Workshop. I like the online one. I've done a lot of the recordings for that, not all of them, but it's still my product. And you've got 2 books that come with that. One is, they've always been called the mind map books, and candidates like them. They just kind of distill things down. You know, a quick review, bring it to the front of your mind, not the detail of the SchweserNotes or even of the on-demand classes. So now we're getting less review and more questions. The question book has hundreds of practice questions across all the different topic areas. And so we do a little review, then we set a block of questions, then we go over them along with how to do them rapidly, how to rule out some answers and get it down to 50-50 if you have to guess, and things like that, what to do with long questions. So things like that come up, but mostly just practice answering questions. And you can use what you know about how prepared you are. If you're killing it in accounting, maybe you don't need to spend too much time with that. But if you're floundering in economics, maybe you ought to go through all of the review for that, the review workshop. But it's designed so you can do as much and a little in each topic area as you have time for and as you think is going to get you the most progress. And then your final exam preparation. So what did we do? We took exam 1, we did the review workshop. Now take the remaining Schweser mock exams. I think 4 come with most packages, but there's 2 more you can buy. That makes 6 altogether. You've already used 1 at the end of your study to guide your review. But now, take a mock exam, then review. Take a mock exam, then review. Mock exam, then review. And that's how you spend your final weeks. Now you can also, when you want to relax a little and have some fun, read the end of reading or end of module questions in the CFA curriculum books. Okay. And I say read them. I don't say study those and agonize over them, because there's a variety of questions. They're not all multiple choice, which is fine. I mean, there's other ways to learn things besides multiple choice. But some of them are long, drawn out, calculate the financial ratios for these 3 companies and do this and that. When I say read through them, you should look at them and go, well, how would I answer this? How would I approach this? Because sometimes just getting started on a question is the tough part. Okay, what's the first thing I should do? The actual doing of it usually doesn't take too much time. But if you end up sitting at these questions going, what's this question about? What knowledge are they drawing on? What are my clues as to where they want me to get with this? Okay, that will help. So to the extent you can, have the time, read these end of reading questions in CFA curriculum books, look at them, and then look at the answers. Now, don't do that with the QBank. Answer the QBank questions. Don't look at a QBank question and just, oh, I want to see the answer on this, and go, oh yeah, that's what I would have done. Complete waste of time. You're fooling yourself. Take the CFA practice exam, the CFA Institute practice exam. Don't take it too seriously, but take it. Okay, it can't hurt. Read the Standards of Practice Handbook again. Remember, it's short-term memory stuff and repeated readings. And I think I did mention it's 15 to 20% of the exam. It can make a big difference. And once you've done all that, go, sit down, spend a few hours, pass the exam, get the heck out of there, have a refreshing beverage, and wait for your results. Optimistically, I hope, at that point. Wait for your belief that you passed is verified by the CFA Institute. So here's just a summary, a little bit of what I've said there. Do the SchweserNotes videos, supplement those as you need them, as you find them valuable. Okay. Some people say, oh, I listen to the videos and then I go to the notes. Well, if that works best for you and you've got time to do it, go for it. There's lots of ways to study. Okay. Lots of ways to learn things. They all involve some of the same stuff, but there's not just one perfect way for everyone because people are different. They have different backgrounds. They learn differently. They read differently. They understand English differently. And the next point here is quizzes in the QBank. You've got to do it. Okay, it's a contact sport. Okay, they don't take the football team in the locker room and write those X's and O's on chalkboards for 6 weeks and then go, okay, first game, suit up, let's go get them. No, you learn to do the thing you're going to do on game day. In this case, and I'm sure I've mentioned it, it's answer a lot of 3-part multiple choice questions over a wide variety of topic areas in a short period of time and do it correctly. And then I said the on-demand classes. I advised a little bit of a lag. Come back to them as kind of an intensive review, and you'll learn some more stuff from those, but it'll also help you retain the information and integrate it as useful knowledge with the other things you're learning. Use the QBank during your study period for periodic review. Again, to learn more stuff, but also to help you retain the stuff and get it in your mind as usable information that you can call on quickly. Okay. Then, take a mock exam, I said, the first one, then do the review workshop, CFA end of reading or end of module questions at that point in your study. And then lots of mock exams, lots of intensive review on the ones you missed. Why did I miss this? What didn't I know? Go back. Okay. All of that stuff is keyed on LOS for you. So you can, well, sometimes they're spread around in the books, but in most cases you can go right back to the material that you need for that question. Okay. Sometimes it's more than one LOS. Do your intensive review. Ethics book one more time the day before the exam, and you'll be good to go. Well, I hope that helps. You may want to come back and review this at some time. I know it's kind of, after all these years, second nature to me, what we've designed and how it works best, and it wouldn't help to refresh yourself on some of this once you've gotten into your study program and you're going along. Some of what I've said in here may make more sense. So if you've signed up with Schweser and for your exam, let's go. Turn this thing off and get to studying. Okay. If you're thinking about CFA exam, taking it, well, I hope I've given you a very realistic view of what it entails. It's certainly doable. I've helped English majors, history majors, all sorts of different majors pass this exam. I don't know if any anthropologists have made it yet. But anyway, that's an aside. I won't take any more of your time. Happy studying and best of luck on your exam.